Welcome to the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, where business owners, thought leaders, and community champions from across Central Illinois come to share their story. The Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. Anything less would be uncivilized.
What's up, Central Illinois? I'm Derek Hayden. I'm here with Garrett Ulmer. We are your hosts for the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, powered by Zambu. Zambu is a delicious grapefruit or wildberry vodka-based spirit infused with a Brazilian buzz button. It's smooth, tasty, and leaves you with a signature tingle. Learn more at ZambuLiquors.com. Zambu, taste the tingle. All right, Central Illinois, today's guest is the CEO of Halo Solar in Goodfield, Illinois. Ladies and gents, please welcome Wes Ernst. How you doing, Wes?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. How are you guys doing this evening or this morning, I guess?
We're doing good. We appreciate you jumping on here with us.
Yep, doing good. All right, Wes. Well, we're excited to hear your story, but before we do, I'm going to kick it to Garrett, and we're going to take you through the speed round to get to know you just a little bit better.
Well, it sounds like you've listened to a couple shows, so you've probably studied up for these real tough questions we've got coming your way. So we'll go ahead and just jump right into it. First concert that you ever
I was going to win the $1 million.
Hey, you know
it is
what?
on the line. I'll start the timer.
If you have studied up, there's a great chance. So first concert that you ever attended.
I went to an Incubus and a Hoobastank concert in Peoria.
Hoobastank. You
awesome.
don't hear much out of them anymore, do you?
No, I think that was about the only concert that I think I had the opportunity to attend of theirs, but it was fun either way.
All right. Your favorite movie?
A 5-year engagement. Big Jason Segel fan.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
So this one's tough because I like hard ice cream and I like soft ice cream, right? And I feel like those are two kind of different varieties. So with hard ice cream, I like butter pecan.
Okay.
And then with soft ice cream, I'm a big lemon fan.
All right.
Yep.
Are you an iPhone or Android guy?
iPhone.
Favorite social media platform?
LinkedIn.
All right. And last but not least, why Central Illinois?
Yeah. So I've had the privilege of traveling in the country, seeing most states and working in a lot of them, and being abroad as well. And I will say this, Central Illinois has the best people. Everyone is always helping. Community is such an important piece of living in Central Illinois, and everybody really, they do their best, and everybody is really together. You see that whenever we have any misfortune or just when everyone gets excited about, new businesses popping up and new opportunities and all that. So yeah, I would say the people, and I would also say the opportunity. I mean, that we have a lot of great opportunities here in Central Illinois.
Gotcha.
That's for
Awesome.
sure.
Well, you had a great answer to the last one. Unfortunately, that took you just over the time limit to secure your $1 million. So,
Oh man.
Yeah, but I do think
okay.
we'll make sure that our keynote sponsor, Zambu, cuts you a check for the consolation prize of $500,000.
Yeah,
So,
you tell Jared that he owes me $1 million either way. He probably says that I
there we
do
go.
fantasy football, but that's probably not true either.
Nice. Well, awesome, Wes. Well, hey, for our listeners and viewers, if you could give us a rundown of your story, Wes. So take us back as far as you'd like and bring us up to date with where you are now and how you got there.
Yeah. So I grew up on a farm here in Central Illinois, about 10 miles out west of Normal, in a town called Danvers. And from there, I worked at a really young age, and really, I pride myself on my work habits and all that. And I feel like that was really stems from that. So kept working on the farm all the way till I was about 20 years old. And so in the winter time, when I was about 19 going on 20, I started working at restaurants, and then that was about the first time that I had ever worked with anybody my own age, really, and so I really fell in love with restaurants and working with people and all that. So after a couple more years of grinding it out and at Heartland, because I, on again, off again, didn't know what I wanted to do, didn't want to spend money if I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I'd go for a semester and then I would, stop and then I'd go back and I'd do that over and over again. And so finally I realized I really liked working in restaurants, and about that time Top Chef became really popular too. So I was like, you know what? I'm really good with working with my hands. I like being on my feet. I like talking to people. So I ended up going to culinary school in Chicago. And from there, I started working at really fine dining restaurants up there, and got really into, the food scene. And so I decided I was going to go and study abroad, and did that in Spain, and started working at restaurants over there. Worked at a couple. Was thinking about staying over there to keep working, but miss family, miss friends, and all that kind of stuff. And so was convinced to come back home. From there, I was planning on moving to San Francisco to continue to pursue my chef, being a chef and all that kind of stuff. So didn't have the money to do that right away. And so started, trying to find work around here, and ended up going to a place in Peoria Heights called June Restaurant. It was really fine dining, and it was farm to table. And from there, I started in the kitchen and worked my way up to the general manager within a couple of years. And about that, after doing that for a year or two, I realized that I didn't love the restaurants, the time frame, and all that kind of stuff. So I was working every weekend, and in my mid-20s, all my friends were off, missed all, a bunch of my friends' weddings and all those things, important life. So I started thinking, go back to school and figure out another career path at that point in time. So from there, I went to school for a couple semesters, realized I wanted to get some type of financial degree, and still to this day haven't done that, because at that exact point in time I realized what I thought I wanted to do. I got offered a job at Jimmy John's, the corporate office, to be one of their marketers. And so a similar story to Jared, which you referred to, right?
Yep.
And same ended up doing the same thing Jared did, where we got a management job there and started traveling the country and had our own team across the country, right? So that was really fun. And then what I realized with that job, and I'd kind of known that from the June, was that I really like managing people, inspiring people, and helping people find their niche and their way a little bit, right? And being a coach and all that kind of stuff. And so really just enjoyed that. About 5 years later, I got really sick of traveling. It was just too much on the road. So I still wanted to work with people, and started using my culinary degree. So I went into selling food to restaurants for Gordon Food Service. From there, I did that in Bloomington for a few years, and then my wife found a job up in Milwaukee, and so they transferred me up to downtown Milwaukee on March 14th of 2020.
Nice. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
So from there, all the restaurants that I was going to be selling to essentially started closing up, and all downtown essentially closed up. So I got laid off for a few months, and from there I went back to school. Right, I kept pursuing that. So anytime I've ever had any moments in my life where I feel like I'm not all the way in, or I have more extra time, I've been trying to knock off as much schooling as possible. And so I was going to school, and I started getting really into renewable energy, sustainability. from a economics perspective, and really got into trains and what I think that trains could be in our future. Although that's a really complicated mess, and I don't really want to get into that too much. But that was one of my passions, and so basically from there, I realized that I didn't want to sell food the rest of my life, but I enjoyed the job, and it's a great company to work for, family owned, still family owned, and it's a really massive company, but it's a really good company to work for. So I went back to work and I enjoyed it, but I knew that it wasn't where my passion lied. So I started thinking, once I get done with school, I'll try to find something in the renewable energy world. Well, I've known Seth Zeller for quite some time, through mutual friends, being in Central Illinois. And one of those mutual friends had told me when I came back down to visit around 4th of July in last year, or no, 2021, I'm sorry, not last year, that he was looking for somebody to help with Halo. And so from there, I just started talking to him, and my wife and I got really excited about the opportunity. And her job had changed so she could work from home because of COVID. So we decided, you know what, let's move back towards family and friends, and take on this opportunity that was super exciting. And yeah, so that's how I got to Halo, essentially.
Quite the
Nice.
journey.
Yeah. So yeah, you were in the food industry for how many years then?
I was in the food industry for 16 years.
Wow. So you took a fairly abrupt turn from food into solar energy or renewable energy. So that's cool how someone can have a focus on something, and all of a sudden, we were just talking about this with our last guest, a challenge pops up, aka COVID, in the food industry.
Yep.
And you're able to find something else to, create a new path. So that's very cool. So before I move on, as you were talking, made me think of Garrett's experience in the food industry. And I feel like before we move on, Garrett, you've got to tell your experience in the food industry as a young man.
I mean, definitely not as exciting as yours, but I mean, I was one of the high school kids that had to work, you know what I mean, as far as that goes. So when I was very young, I worked in a Hardee's and then a small hamburger joint in town. And, needless to say, sometimes they probably lost money on me as an employee because I probably ate as much food as they paid me as far as that goes. But is there a particular story you're wanting me to tell here?
The bathroom story.
Oh man, you're gonna make me look really bad right now in front of everybody. Which
you were like
fine.
18. It's okay.
I was like 16 when it happened.
16.
So.
There you go.
Anyway, so Hardee's, of course, they're known for their breakfast food and bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits. And every so often, me and another employee would sneak a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit into the restroom and have breakfast while we were working until we got busted because our store manager had realized that employee or customers probably don't go into the restroom to eat their breakfast because we were throwing our wrappers in the trash can. That's how dumb we were as kids. So needless to say, I was not cut out for the food industry, but I honestly feel like every individual should have to do it at some point. It really kind of shows you a true understanding of people, work ethic, and different things because it's a great way to learn communication. But learned about chicken real quick too. I gave a lady a thigh instead of a breast, and I got chewed out pretty good on like my second day at Hardee's. So it's one of those things that I feel like every young kid should have to work at least a month in food service to gain a respect for everyone that has done it and done it for a long time. So now everybody's going to think I'm a crook because I stole bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits when I was 16 years old. So I guess the tip is don't throw your wrappers away in the bathroom. So.
Yeah,
anyways, Wes, I'm sure you're way more professional in your food service in 16 years than I was in my year and a half.
I know I have some stories that are very similar and all that. I mean, you work in the restaurant industry for so long, and yeah, I mean, it's easy to grab onto food when it's right there in front of you. And I agree with what you said though, Garrett, because and a lot of people ask me, how did I go from food industry to where I'm at now? And my answer is communication. And
Yeah.
that's what I learned, and what you had mentioned that too, right? And that's what I learned the most was communication was so key in the food industry, because people are very quick to get upset.
Yep.
And they don't necessarily appreciate you as much for when you're just doing the right thing a lot, right, of the time. So it's amplified in the food industry quite a bit. And then when so I wasn't necessarily, consumer facing essentially, right,
Sure.
with my Gordon food service job. So that really allowed me to understand what business owners were looking for and be able to have real genuine conversations when it came to business ownership, and what they were looking for. Because what I really would like to do is try to find not necessarily what their food needs were, but what they were looking for in general, what their future mindset looked like. Because I can only help with so much, but if I could be an advisor, if I could help with bringing, some ideas that other owners had shared with me,
Sure.
that's really where I excelled. I felt like in
Yeah.
Gordon food service, but in the food industry, just in general, communication is so
It
valuable.
is. Yeah. And for a young individual like myself in high school, I look back and it taught me so much more that I never realized at the time. You talk about customer service, handling objections, working with people, stuff at 16 years old, I didn't realize, but I truly, for a foundation, I'm a true believer. Everybody should have to do it for a while just to, overcoming tasks, objections, just different things that it teaches you down the road that is good for any individual.
Yeah, for sure. I I spent my fair share at the concessions window at the Shelbyville Area Family Aquatic Center, and I can tell you, when someone didn't get enough nacho cheese with their pretzels, it was ugly. So nothing like what you guys dealt with in the food industry. So
Oh, shoot.
so Wes, in sound like July 21 is when you started your conversations with Halo Solar. I guess first off, tell us what Halo Solar is. I think that's a good starting point. What is Halo Solar?
So Halo Solar is a solar installation company. We design and project manage solar jobs. We do residential, but our main focus is commercial and industrial, in large scale jobs. We were started essentially out of the brains of union electricians, right? And so the idea was that they had seen the writing on the wall, right? That solar was going to start taking off in Illinois, 5-6 years ago. So what they wanted to do is start trying to capture that a little bit. And what they found was, when they start partnering with other people to do some installation work, the ones that were doing the design and project manage, that they weren't really, the other companies that were doing this didn't necessarily understand how union electricians operated and how they ran their jobs. And also, what they also found was that they didn't really know what they were talking about most of the time. So they were designing these projects that actually really couldn't operate in a big way. So when they would get to the job, the electricians would have to, redo the design work a lot of times, and different things like that.
Yeah.
So they, the Zellers and their partner were like, let's figure this out. Let's put some guys who understand what's going on into this position and start having them to design it and project management. And if it works for us, maybe we can partner with other union electricians in this area, and do a bunch of jobs that way. And so I don't think anybody at that point in time saw that Illinois was going to have such great incentives that it currently does. We really we really have the best incentives in the country right now in
Wow.
Illinois.
Great.
yeah, it's really our solar program and our renewable energy program in Illinois is top notch. You know, we uh, and part of that is because we have really big goals in Illinois to get rid of the coal mines and go 100% sustainable by 2050. And you know, with the EV cars coming on and other applications that are going to be using more electricity, those are really high goals to set out for. You know, because those coal mines, they produce quite a bit of energy right now. So we already need to increase if we're going to, you know, bring on the EV cars, and that whole grid is going to need to be upped with more and more electricity. So, you know, that the government is really just trying to throw as much money to local business owners and residents and incentivize them to put it on their own roof or in their own yard.
Sure.
Nice.
So now how does Halo go about getting the jobs? Is it something that you have to go out and, you know, place a bid on or find out about a bid? How do they go about finding the jobs for the commercial side?
So yeah, we do do some public bids. You know, obviously new buildings that are going in, a lot of them have solar attached to them. You know, because it just makes more sense to put it in to begin with. So a lot of those were public bids. You know, schools are a lot of those can be public bids too. Other than that, we just go out and talk to local business owners.
Okay.
You know, and much in the way I was talking about with what I was talking about with the food industry and talking to different restaurant owners. That's what we just started doing with commercial and manufacturers. You know, just like, hey, you know, what is your, you know, what's your biggest needs? Lots of them will say, you know, lower energy. A lot of them use brokers and all and that stuff to get their energy a little bit lower. But those contracts do eventually expire, and then you have to renegotiate those and all those kinds of things. So what we're finding is a lot of business owners are, especially with the idea that a recession is possibly on the horizon. You know, I don't know if that's true. I can't necessarily speak to that, but a lot of people are a little worried about that, so they don't want to put their money in the market, and they want to put their money on something that has a good return. And with a lot of these jobs that we're seeing, you know, these business owners can get their full return within 5 to 6 years, sometimes even as soon as 2 years, even a little bit before that. So, I mean, we're talking major projects that you can pay off and then save millions of dollars through the term of the panels themselves. I mean, which lasts 30 years is the life
Wow.
of those,
Okay.
and they can still keep producing after that 30 years too. So by year 30, you're talking they're at 80, they're about 84% degradation. So that means they still have 84% life. And so we're just fortunate in this country where that 84% is actually the lifespan, because, you know, we could keep making them produce that, right? But the warranty runs out then.
What's up, Central Illinois? Derek Hayden here. Garrett and I love sharing all the awesome stories about our Central Illinois business leaders. We want to make sure our Central Illinois businesses are protected so we can continue to share all these great stories. That's why you should consider another great Central Illinois company, Pekin Insurance, for your business insurance needs. That's right, you can get all the commercial insurance coverages that your company needs from an excellent insurance company headquartered right here in Pekin, Illinois. Pekin Insurance offers comprehensive business coverage that lets you focus on what's important to you: employees, profits, and peace of mind. Ask your local Pekin Insurance agent about their commercial insurance products or learn more at pekininsurance.com. You can also contact your favorite podcast hosts, Garrett or myself, Derek, and we'll go beyond the expected for you.
So with the 30-year lifespan, what we've done is we've partnered with a company who will recycle those or sell those panels to underprivileged communities or countries, essentially.
Sure.
So we're not refilling the landfill with these panels. We are definitely finding sustainability and recycling them or reselling them when needed.
That's awesome.
Good news.
So I know when you first said it, some of the business owners' ears probably perked up when they heard it. So some incentives. That's what business
Yes.
owners like to hear. Are you able to tell us about some of those, or is there anything you would like to share about those incentive programs for that business owners might want to learn more about?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a 30% tax credit. That's a federal tax credit that these business owners can collect within the first year.
Okay.
And so that's going to be good. It's with the Inflation Reduction Act that went to 2032. So we're anticipating another 10 years of that. Well, 9 years of that at this point in time. And then the other big one in Illinois is called solar renewable energy credits, SREC for short. It's what
Cool.
most people call it. And with that, that's an incentive from the state. So with a business, you will collect 90% of that within the first 7 years. They come in quarterly payments.
Cool.
And so that changes from your production, right? So there isn't really necessarily a percentage of the job that goes into that because it depends on which way the solar panels are facing. South and west are the best options for that. You're not going to get much out of the north. East, you can still get quite a bit out of. But if they're directly south, then they're going to have a higher production and you're going to get more SREC value because of that.
Right.
With that SREC, I guess a rough estimate on that would be around another 30% that you'd be getting back. And then just the actual savings themselves, are substantial. We've seen a lot of jobs where we've been able to fully offset, the energy needs.
Wow.
So that creates a really fast payback period. And some of these companies are seeing millions of dollars in savings through the life of the project. And then, one more would be depreciation. So you can claim a bonus depreciation, which means that you can claim 80% of that in the first year.
Okay.
And then the rest of that would be you'd be able to claim in the next 5 years.
Wow.
So a lot of that incentive is really, it's pretty quick when it comes to getting that money back, just doing your taxes, essentially.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, there are definitely some perks to that then. I know some business owners are getting a little antsy hearing some of that stuff. So that's good. Well, great. So I'm looking at the Halo Solar website right now, which is halosolar.net. And right on the homepage, there is I think it says there's a get a quote button. There's tons of information about just solar in general and some of the stuff you've already talked about, Wes. So it sounds like maybe if there's a business owner that wants to learn more, they can just go to the website and obviously read through your website, but also there's a get a quote option where they can maybe see what their actual cost would look like for installation and labor. Does that sound right?
That's correct. Yeah. So what we would do with that is we'd reach out to you and get the information that we need, to start putting together a proposal, and then we'd show you what that looks like and how we would go about doing that project. It's pretty painless. We'd want to do a site assessment, and we'd want to we'd need to get a copy of your electric bill just to see what your usage is and all that. And we like to get your rate so we can see what your actual savings would be through the life. So, in our proposals, we use a 2.5% escalator, meaning that we're projecting energy to go up 2.5% each year, which is actually lower than the national average right now. So we try to keep our numbers extremely conservative. We don't want to over promise and under deliver. We would much rather be doing the opposite thing. So,
yeah.
And then do you have a radius of operation?
So currently, a lot of our business is done in Central Illinois right now. We do have partners up north in Chicago. We have partners up north in Rockford. We've done quite a few jobs in Rockford. And then we go as far south right now as St. Louis. So basically everything in Illinois, we have partners that we can get to. We also have done some jobs in Ohio. We've done a couple jobs in Washington State. Just kind of random jobs that people have contacted us about. But that's the thing about our organization is that we are, we're a project manager, we're designers, and we're salespeople. So we can really go anywhere, and we can talk. We can use any type of technology to talk to anybody anywhere and run a job. So it's, we're trying to expand more just from Central Illinois out,
Sure.
but at the same time, we're able to partner with anybody, even in the state of Wisconsin or in the state of Missouri too. So
Cool.
Sounds like you're pretty flexible then.
we're very flexible. One of the things that we really were doing was reaching out to as many union electricians across in the general vicinity of where we've been looking at jobs, and just created really good partnerships and bonds that way.
Very nice. So do you have I guess a size when we talk about businesses? Obviously there's large businesses, small businesses. Is there a size that you feel you work best with, or you've had a good experience with all sizes?
Yeah, so we use a reference of kilowatts. That's what we built the jobs in, is kilowatts. So our real niche is 250 kilowatts to 2 meg. That's really where we fall. We do a lot of 100 kilowatt systems though, and a lot of farmers and a lot of bigger residential jobs will have that. And we're not necessarily against doing smaller jobs by any means, but we always tell people we're not the cheapest. We really utilize our experts, and also labor. Labor is an issue across the board, right? So when we're doing a lot of these bigger jobs, it's really hard to acclimate the labor to those jobs, like a residential, who they want their stuff done pretty quickly, right? And we have a little bit more of a backlog on residential than a lot of other companies do. The thing is, we do a lot of residential, and most people find value in what we're saying, right? Because we have we have a 5-year workmanship warranty, which a lot of other local companies do have the same. But what we find is, because our incentives are so great in the state of Illinois, that a lot of companies try to get in, right, and basically oversell, because they're not necessarily here, right? And so they sell a job and then they get out, and then they don't maintain it, and they don't want to deal with all of the things that would cost them money, right? That they're not actually making any more money on. They already sold the job. So what we're finding is that in Central Illinois, there's a lot of people that need to kind of watch where they're buying it from, because these certain companies will leave the state, which they've done before, when the incentives dry up. So at the end of 2021, we had the Illinois program did not get renewed for about 3 months. So all of those companies left, and we started getting calls about maintenance on all of their jobs. And that's just something we can't really do, because it will mess with their warranty and all those other things that they have. And, then we become liable for it too. And that's just not something that we're really interested in becoming liable for somebody else's work.
Yeah.
So there is an incentive to buy local, I would say. And a lot of people will understand that local people are not necessarily the cheapest, but we have the expertise, and we have the customer service that people really need with these systems. So
yeah, perfect, great. Well, believe it or not, Wes, we are approaching the 30-minute mark. Before we jump off of here, is there any last items that you want to tell the audience, or anything about Halo Solar or business in general that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think with Halo Solar, what we did is we went out and we got really long-term electricians that can really help with our install. And then we got a couple guys who design and build and project manage for us, who have renewable energy degrees. One from ISU, the other one has a physics degree from Wesleyan, and a major in renewable energy with a hyper focus on solar. And so we have really great expertise in-house. I like to think that we have, the high utmost in the state of Illinois in expertise. So when we're operating with the business owner, like I said, we like to use conservative numbers. We like to make sure that our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed, right? Just knowing that what you're getting with Halo is a group of transparency and just really hardworking people. So that's my little pitch there for Halo.
Perfect.
That's great.
Well, if they have more questions, Wes, what's the best way to contact you or Halo Solar?
Yeah, I would say emailing me at WERNST@halosolar.net. That's WErnst at halosolar.net. Or doing what you said there, Derek, and going on the website and just clicking that get a quote now. We'll get back to you pretty much within the next few minutes, I'm sure. So unless it's at night, then we'll probably wait till the morning. But we're really quick to respond and just if you're thinking of going solar, just think now's a really good time to do it. Don't let those incentives dry up, because in the state of Illinois, those SRECs, they will start going down about 4% each year is what the projection is. Now's the time to be looking at it and trying to get all of the incentives that you possibly can.
Sure. Awesome.
Well, thanks for your time, Wes.
Yes. All you listeners out there, make sure you're subscribing to the CIBL podcast on your favorite podcast platform. While you're listening, please give us a quick review. It'd be greatly appreciated. You can also find us on social media, mainly on LinkedIn and Facebook, and you can connect with Garrett and I personally there as well. Until next time, Wes, you've officially been civilized.
Thanks guys.
Thanks for coming on the show,
Wes.
man.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/CIBL Podcast. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It's the civilized thing to do.